Imagine waking up and feeling that something is wrong. The air is heavy, the sky is strange, and the world is silent. Outside, the street is empty. No cars, no birds, no voices. On the horizon, darkness creeps in, swallowing up the light. Suddenly, the electricity goes out. The internet stops. Phones don't work. The world finds itself cut off. And then, the realization hits. This isn't just a blackout, it's something much worse. Long ago, a man warned that this day would come. Mystery shrouded his life, marked by visions no one else could see. For years, people dismissed Padre Pio's words as the ramblings of a saint in spiritual ecstasy. But now, as the world is falling apart in unimaginable ways, his predictions no longer seem so far-fetched. They are becoming frighteningly real. Padre Pio was no ordinary priest. Born in a quiet village in Italy, he became one of the most enigmatic figures of the Catholic Church. His hands, feet, and side bled without explanation, mirroring the wounds of Christ. Doctors examined him, unable to offer a scientific reason for his condition. Beyond the stigmata, he possessed an unexplainable ability to heal the sick, read people's hearts, and foresee future events with unsettling accuracy. Those who met him spoke of a presence that felt beyond human, as though he existed in two worlds at once, one of flesh and one of divine knowledge. Among his many prophecies, one stood out as the most terrifying: the arrival of the 3 days of darkness. The earth would plunge into absolute darkness, the skies would turn black, and nothing would be the same again. He described a world where no light would function, where leaving one's home would mean certain doom, and where only those who remained in prayer would survive the chaos unfolding outside. The warnings were explicit. Doors and windows must remain shut, curtains drawn, and not a single glance should be stolen at whatever horrors lurked in the streets. Scientists dismissed these predictions as exaggerated religious folklore for decades. However, scientists are now starting to identify patterns that remarkably mirror the descriptions. Solar storms, capable of wiping out entire power grids, have become a growing concern. A direct hit from a massive solar flare could cause a blackout across continents, rendering modern technology useless and throwing society into the very darkness Padre Pio spoke of. Researchers warn that we are overdue for such an event, and unlike in the past, humanity is now fully dependent on digital infrastructure, making the impact far more devastating. The Earth itself is also showing signs of distress. Natural disasters are becoming more frequent. Wildfires rage across lands that were once cold, and the ocean is rising, swallowing cities whole. Scientists have explanations: climate change, tectonic shifts, the natural evolution of the planet. But deeper analysis suggests that the speed at which these events are occurring is unnatural. Something is accelerating the changes, pushing humanity toward a tipping point. Hidden away in Vatican archives, documents detailing his private revelations have long been kept from the public. Some say these papers contain precise timelines and descriptions of events so catastrophic that releasing them would cause widespread panic. It is believed that only a select few within the Church have access to this knowledge, guarding it carefully while watching the world move closer to the moment of reckoning. For those who study these prophecies, there is an undeniable feeling that time is running out. The 3 days of darkness is not just a religious concept, it is a warning wrapped in divine foresight. While skeptics argue that these are mere stories passed down through generations, others point to the increasing number of eerie coincidences aligning with the predictions. Remember to join our community by subscribing to this channel. There is a sense that the world is shifting, that something unseen is pressing forward, forcing humanity into a reality it is not prepared for. Despite the grim warnings, Padre Pio also spoke of hope. He emphasized that those who remained faithful, who prepared their hearts and homes, would endure what was to come. Protection would not come from governments or scientific advancements, but from unwavering belief and readiness. candles blessed through prayer, sacred spaces untouched by the darkness, and a firm spirit rooted in faith would be the keys to survival. Logic, science, and data drive the world today. Every event, from the rising oceans to the fires consuming entire regions, has an explanation. Scientists warn of climate change, shifting magnetic fields, and the fragile state of modern technology. Yet, beneath the surface of rational thought, there lingers an ancient voice, one that whispered warnings long before these crises began. The 3 days of darkness describes a time when the sun will disappear, the earth will tremble, and silence will consume the world. It will be a period of absolute night, a time when the forces of darkness will move freely, and those who fail to prepare will not survive. In recent years, experts have raised alarm over the increasing activity of the sun. On July 23, 2012, a massive solar storm erupted from the sun's surface. If the storm had aimed for Earth, it would have disrupted satellites, communication systems, and electricity grids, causing a global power outage. NASA later confirmed that if this storm had struck, society would have faced a catastrophe unlike any in modern history. The event was only a few degrees away from hitting us. Scientists estimate that these powerful storms occur every 150 to 200 years, meaning that we are now overdue for another. Padre Pio spoke of an event where the world would be covered in darkness, where no artificial light would function, and where people would be left disconnected from everything they know. Modern science describes a solar storm strong enough to fry the planet's electrical infrastructure, causing blackouts that could last for months or even years. The unsettling part is that this is not the only threat that aligns with his warnings. Astronomers have identified Apophis, a near-Earth asteroid, which will make an unusually close pass to our planet on April 13, 2029. While scientists currently claim that the asteroid poses no direct threat, its trajectory has raised concerns among researchers. A collision with Earth would release an energy equivalent to thousands of nuclear bombs, throwing dust and debris into the atmosphere and blocking out the sun. The eruption of Tonga's Hunga Tonga Hunga Ha'apai volcano in January 2022 sent shockwaves around the globe, triggering tsunamis and releasing a massive cloud of ash into the stratosphere. The eruption was so powerful that it temporarily altered global temperatures and disrupted satellite communications. What if an even larger event occurs? Geological records show that supervolcanic eruptions have plunged the Earth into darkness before. The last major eruption of this scale was Toba, 74,000 years ago, an event that nearly wiped out the human race. The pieces are falling into place. A solar storm has the potential to shut down the modern world. An asteroid of sufficient size could cast a shadow across the sky. Volcanic activity has the potential to block the sun for several months. When a prophecy aligns too perfectly with scientific data, the possibility of its fulfillment becomes too real to ignore. The Vatican has long held on to transcripts of Padre Pio's visions, locking away details that have never been made public. Some speculate that these documents contain precise descriptions of how and when the prophecy will unfold, hidden to prevent widespread panic. An insatiable thirst for knowledge has driven humanity since the dawn of civilization. The same curiosity that led early explorers to sail into uncharted waters now pushes scientists to peer into the vastness of space and delve into the deepest mysteries of the Earth. This relentless pursuit of truth has allowed us to unlock many of nature's secrets. Yet some mysteries remain beyond our grasp. Unanswered questions that defy logic, events that challenge the boundaries of human understanding. History has shown that mankind struggles with the unknown. In every era, people have sought explanations for the unexplainable, often looking to religion, science, or a combination of both. When something disrupts the natural order, be it an unexpected celestial event, an unexplainable occurrence, or a chilling prophecy, our instincts demand an answer. Some call it divine intervention, others dismiss it as coincidence, but one thing remains constant: we need to make sense of what we cannot control. Ancient civilizations, from the Mayans to the Egyptians, left behind records describing a time when the sun vanished without warning. The Mayan Popol Vuh, a sacred text detailing the creation of the world, speaks of an age where the earth was plunged into a consuming darkness, a time when chaos ruled and the gods remained silent. Egyptian mythology tells of a night lasting multiple days, an event so terrifying that it was believed to mark the end of an era. These stories, separated by thousands of miles and centuries of history, share chilling similarities with what Padre Pio described in the 20th century. Even modern science, in its attempt to remain rooted in logic, acknowledges that such a scenario is not beyond possibility. A volcanic eruption of apocalyptic proportions, similar to Mount Tambora's explosion in 1815, could spew enough ash into the atmosphere to block sunlight for weeks. A massive solar flare, like the Carrington event of 1859, could wipe out the electrical grid, throwing society into complete darkness overnight. The Vatican, throughout history, has been both a guardian of divine secrets and a gatekeeper of restricted knowledge. It is no secret that the Church holds an extensive archive of prophecies, visions, and warnings, given by mystics, saints, and religious figures throughout the centuries. Padre Pio's revelations are among them, and while some have been shared with the public, many remain sealed within the Church's most protected records. In the quiet shadows of the 20th century, when Europe was still recovering from the devastation of World War II, Pope Pius made a journey that would change his life forever. His name was Karol Wojtyła, and though he was still far from the global stage, his destiny was already written in ways he could not yet understand. In 1947, he traveled to San Giovanni Rotondo, Italy, to meet a man whose reputation had spread far beyond the walls of his monastery, a man who bore the wounds of Christ and spoke of things yet to come. At the time, Wojtyła was just another devoted priest, one of many drawn to the humble Capuchin friar who had become a living legend. Padre Pio was famous for his stigmata, the mysterious wounds on his hands, feet, and side that mirrored the injuries of Jesus during the crucifixion. Are you enjoying the story? Support our channel by clicking the subscribe button. Doctors had no explanation, and the Catholic Church itself was both awed and cautious about his presence. Yet those who met him often left with stories of miraculous healings, soul-piercing confessions, and prophetic visions that defied logic. What happened during their meeting in 1947 is a moment in history, a prophecy that seemed impossible at the time, but later became one of the most extraordinary predictions ever fulfilled. According to witnesses and later accounts, he looked at the young priest from Poland and told him something that must have seemed unbelievable in that moment. "You will rise to the highest office in the Church." At that time, Karol Wojtyła was just 27 years old, a simple priest from Poland, a country still under communist rule. He had no power, no special position, and no reason to believe that he would ever ascend beyond his small role in the Church. Yet the words of Padre Pio lingered in his heart. Decades passed, and Wojtyła's path took him far beyond what anyone could have imagined. In 1964, he became the Archbishop of Krakow. Pope Paul VI made him a cardinal in 1967. And then, in an event that shocked the world, on October 16, 1978, after the sudden death of Pope John Paul I, the College of Cardinals chose Karol Wojtyła as the new pope. He became Pope John Paul II, the first non-Italian pope in over 400 years. The prophecy had come true. The world had never seen a pope quite like John Paul II. He was young, energetic, and fearless. Unlike many of his predecessors, who remained mostly within the walls of the Vatican, John Paul II traveled the world, visiting more than 129 countries during his time as pope. He spoke to millions, bringing hope to those oppressed by dictatorships, preaching peace in war-torn lands, and inspiring a new generation of Catholics. His most defining mission, however, was standing up to communism. Growing up in Poland under Nazi occupation and later Soviet influence, he had witnessed firsthand the brutality of totalitarian regimes. When he became Pope, he did not stay silent. His support for the Solidarity movement in Poland, which opposed Soviet rule, gave strength to those fighting for freedom. Many historians believe that his influence played a crucial role in the fall of communism in Eastern Europe, leading to the collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991. But his life was not without danger. On May 13, 1981, as Pope John Paul II waved to a crowd in St. Peter's Square, a gunman fired 4 shots at close range. The bullets struck him, and for a moment it seemed the prophecy might take a tragic turn, but against all odds, he survived. Later, he credited his survival to the Virgin Mary, believing that her divine intervention saved him on the anniversary of the first apparition of Our Lady of Fatima in 1917. However, many also believe that Padre Pio's prayers had protected him. Though he had passed away in 1968, before John Paul II became Pope, the two had crossed paths once more, this time through an extraordinary letter. In the late 1960s, Karol Wojtyła had written to Padre Pio, asking him to pray for a friend who was suffering from cancer. He reportedly replied that the woman would recover, and she did, in what many considered a miracle. After becoming Pope, John Paul II often spoke of Padre Pio with deep reverence. He was instrumental in Padre Pio's canonization, officially declaring him a saint in 2002. The connection between them, forged in a brief meeting in 1947, had stretched across time, influencing both of their legacies in ways that only divine intervention could explain. Throughout history, moments of divine foresight have emerged, offering glimpses into a future that often seems impossible until it happens. Padre Pio, one of the most enigmatic figures of the 20th century, was a man whose mystical experiences, prophetic warnings, and supernatural gifts captivated both believers and skeptics. His predictions were not vague suggestions of what might occur, but rather chillingly precise glimpses of what would unfold in the years to come. From his 3 days of darkness prophecy, a forewarning of an apocalyptic event where the world would be plunged into absolute night, to his astonishing prediction of Karol Wojtyła's rise to the papacy, Padre Pio's visions have proven to be more than just religious speculation. They have become eerie reminders that there are forces beyond human understanding shaping the course of history. What makes these revelations even more unsettling is how science, history, and current world events align with them. Once dismissed as religious folklore, these prophecies now bear chilling resemblances to the unfolding crises of our modern world. Among his most terrifying revelations is the prediction of 3 days of darkness, a period where the sun would vanish and the world would fall into an unnatural silence. During this time, no artificial light would work, and only those who remained inside in prayer would be protected. It was a prophecy that, for many, sounded like something from medieval religious texts, too extreme to be real. Yet modern science now warns of events that could bring about similar catastrophic consequences. Solar storms. The Carrington event of 1859 was a geomagnetic storm so powerful that it set telegraph wires on fire and caused widespread electrical failures. If a storm of that magnitude struck today, the global power grid would collapse, plunging the world into darkness for weeks or months. NASA has confirmed that a similar solar storm barely missed Earth in 2012, meaning the possibility of an event like this occurring is not a matter of if, but when. Supervolcanic eruptions. The 1815 Mount Tambora eruption darkened the skies for months, leading to the year without a summer, global food shortages, and mass panic. A similar eruption today would devastate modern civilization, covering the planet in thick ash and blocking out sunlight, just as he described. If you are enjoying this story, click Super. Thanks. You're helping to keep these discussions alive, bring hidden truths to light, and ensure more people see what's unfolding. Beyond his apocalyptic visions, Padre Pio's most famous prophecy was his meeting with a young Polish priest in 1947, a man who would later become Pope John Paul II. At the time, Karol Wojtyła was a 27-year-old priest from a war-torn country unknown to the world and certainly far from the highest ranks of the Church. Yet during their brief encounter, Padre Pio predicted his rise to the papacy, saying he would reach the highest office in the Church. 3 decades later, on October 16, 1978, Wojtyła was elected the first non-Italian pope in over 400 years, taking the name John Paul II. His leadership would go on to change the course of history, playing a crucial role in the fall of communism, the revival of faith, and the transformation of the Vatican's role in world affairs. This prophecy, like many others, was so precise that it is impossible to dismiss as mere coincidence. For centuries, faith and science have stood at opposite ends of human understanding. Science seeks evidence, logic, and measurable proof, while faith speaks to the unseen, the divine, and the mysteries of existence. Padre Pio's prophecies challenge this divide because they align too perfectly with scientific realities. History is filled with warnings, some heeded, others ignored. Thanks for watching. Join our community by subscribing to this channel until the next video.